This is a recording for how to implement calculated formula problems into tests. So I just go to some arbitrary Blackboard shell that I'm using, and I'm going to go to Pool Manager, and I'm going to start a new pool here. I mean, with this one, everybody's familiar. Anyway, and actually the first choice here is calculate formula. It's only because it's on top of this alphabetical list, so that's what I'm going to use, calculate formula. And now you get a big editor, and here's where I'm going to put the question in. I may have to do this one here to get a line break. Let's see, okay, so it says, so this is from PRT 230, convert 1.0 gallons of liquid methane to cubic feet of liquid methane, so, and then include the correct unit. Here it says that add question text that includes variables in square brackets, so that's what I'm going to do, and the variable that I have is the number of gallons, so I'm going to take from the original problem, I'm going to take the 1.0 away, and that's where I'm going to put my variable, and I may call it G for gallons. Then here I go to the answer formula. There should be actually more. Yeah, there are more choices here. I don't know why they don't show up right away. So here I go in, and it's pretty much take the variable G and divide by the correct conversion of 7.48. Then it gives a number of options down here, but I'm not going to touch these yet. The reason is that the editor is a little bit touchy here, so if accidentally I do something wrong here, then I kind of erase the whole thing, and I don't want to put too many options in here and then lose stuff over that. So I'm just going to go through here, and then I return and do what it says here, units required and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to click next. Okay, here it gives me a choice of anything I want to have. Let's say I want to choose something around 1.0 gallon, and let's say the smallest one is going to be 0.5 gallons and the largest one is going to be 2.5 gallons. That's up to me. The only thing is, for the maximum value, don't go above 999, because then the system for some reason kicks you out and never tells you that you're not allowed to put in thousands. I found solutions to that, but do ask me for that if you want to do that in the thousands. As I said, for some reason, that Blackboard editor is not the greatest. Okay, let's say decimal places. Let's say I want to choose 2 decimal places. Decimal places for the answer. Well, I'm dividing by 7.48, so maybe I'm going to make it 3 decimal places to be in accordance with significant figures. Number of answer sets, I'm totally free to choose that. Let's assume I choose 20. I usually just choose 10, but here let's go with 20. Hit calculate, and notice what happens. There, it actually is calculating at this point. These are the input values. It randomly chose 1.37, 1.34, 0.72, and now it came up with the answers. The plus minus 0 here means that right now I don't have any allowance. So the students have to come up with the exact answer there. And there are a number of 20 different ones that I have in there. I'm going to hit submit, and my problem is done. Now I may want to touch it up a little bit, going in there. For example, here my answer range, let's say I give them here 2%. So I put in plus minus, and instead of numeric I'm going to choose percent. Let's say I say allow partial credit, and then for some reason it always kicks me to the top. Partial credit, and I say okay, for 20 plus minus 20%, I get partial credit of 30%. I don't even really know what that means. Unit required. Okay, answer unit, cubic feet, but they would have to put it in exactly like this, units. Case well, let's make that not unit case sensitive, and let's say I usually choose 20% for that. Hit next, and there we go, and there we go. And now you can see 2%, plus minus 2% here, just in case they do some rounding in between. Of course, this is a simple problem, but for something else that comes in, always pretty handy to have some kind of, I call it an error allowance. And so there's the problem. Okay, let's do another problem. So again, hit go on calculate formula, and this is the one I chose. This is from Norman Anderson's book Instrumentation for Process Measurement and Control, 3rd edition. And then some problem there, a single-seated globe valve. Again, I may want to put a break here, just makes it look nicer. Single-seated globe valve containing a plug 1.5 inches in diameter is used in a line pressure to 500 psi. What actuator force is required for tight shutoff? So I'm going to choose my diameter here, and I'm going to call it D for diameter, D inches, and then I'm going to choose my pressure, and I may want to call it P for pressure, and then I'm going to put in the equation, and that would be as follows. This is going to be a more complicated one. Of course, it's pressure times cross-section. So pressure times the cross-section. I'm going to open a parentheses, if I remember where it is. Okay, that didn't work. Let's do this times again. I guess I just used the parentheses from my keyboard. Then I'm going to use pi 3.14, truncating it at 0.14 here already produces a little bit of an error allowance. Let's assume they really use the one from the calculator, 3.141592 and so on, then they're going to be more exact than I am. So I have to give them some allowance. Times the radius. I'm going to open another parentheses here because I'm going to take the diameter and divide it by 2. Close the parentheses, and I can choose this one here, right there. Oops, okay, that didn't quite work. Okay, take it away. I can actually use that caret symbol on my keyboard, and that automatically gives me a power, an exponent, and then I close that parentheses over there. Okay, at this point I would hit submit, but I just want to point out I already made an error right here. Notice that it says put stuff in square brackets corresponding to the variables, and notice what I did here. I abbreviated my title here, and I can't do that because those are square brackets, so I just call this here instrumentation da-da-da. Okay, so now I'm going to go on, and again, I just want to hit submit. This is, or next, this is complicated enough that I don't want to play around with it too much, and yeah, just want to calculate this first. Okay, let's say my smallest diameter is 0.8 and my largest diameter is 2.1, and I'm going to give it a couple of decimal places, and my minimum pressure is around 300 and my maximum pressure is 700. And this one here, I want to keep it 0 decimal places, and then that's what places for the answer. Well, I'm going to come up with something in the hundreds, so I may not want to give it anything there, and my number of answer sets, let's leave it at 10 for now, and then calculate. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one here actually doesn't matter. That the answer is larger than 1000 doesn't matter. What it matters is over here, the input variable cannot be beyond 1000, and I tried it and I tried it, and it gives me errors and it tells me it's my fault and so on. I can actually edit these numbers here. For example, I want to give it a couple of significant figures, so I can actually change this one here to 0.82 and then hit the calculate button, and the resulting answer is a little bit different. I didn't pay attention on this one here, and here I want to call it maybe 2.03, and notice that the answer is 1755. So by me changing that number, it also changes the answer to that. Whoops, there it is. The answer here to 1808 from that, and then again I may want to change this one here to 2.11, and let's see. Yep. I frequently do that so that people can see I have 2 or 3 significant figures, and that's how they come up with that. So I don't have rounded numbers. Okay, calculate again, and so on. Submit, and there it is. There's the second question. Now again, I can go in and do certain things here. Answer range. Let's make it 3%. There we go. I actually like to keep out the partial credit most of the time, so I'm just going to leave that alone now. But I may want to put answer units in, and that would be in pounds. And I give it 20%. If they type it in as LB for pounds, well then, as the instructor, you would have to go in there manually and make sure that they got the points for that. So